Hello students, let's start our class. Today we are going to discuss the remaining portions of civics, power sharing. But before we start the class, we have to remember some of the important points of the previous discussion. What have you learned from the stories of Belgium and Sri Lanka? We find both countries are democracies, but they dealt differently with the concept of power sharing. In Belgium, the leaders have realized that the unity of the country is possible only by respecting the feelings and interests of different communities and regions. This resulted in mutually acceptable arrangements for sharing powers. On the other hand, Sri Lanka shows that if a majority community wants to force its dominance over others and refuses to share power, it can undermine the unity of the country. So, my dear students, why is power sharing desirable? You will find answer to these questions that I am going to discuss here. Number 1. Power sharing is good because it helps to reduce the possibility of conflict between social groups. Number 2. The second reason is that a democratic role involves sharing powers with those affected by its exercise and who have to live with its effects. Generally, people have a right to be consulted on how they are to be governed. Let us call the first set of reasons prudential and the second moral. So what is prudential reason? The prudential reasons stress that power sharing will bring out better outcomes. On the other hand, moral reason, whereas the moral reasons emphasize the act of power sharing as valuable. Let us call this division of powers involving higher and lower levels of government vertical division of power. Now we are going to discuss about a form of power sharing. So most of you must think that the sharing power means dividing power, and dividing power means weakening the country. The similar thing was believed in the past. It was assumed that all powers of a government must reside in one person or group of persons located at one place. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to make quick decisions and to enforce them. But these notions have changed with the emergence of democracy. In a democracy, people rule themselves through institution of self-government. Everyone has a voice in the shaping of public policies. Students, therefore, in a democratic country, political power should be distributed among citizens. Dear students, we are going to discuss different forms of power sharing. In modern democracies, power sharing can take many forms. Number 1. Power is shared among different organs of government such as the legislature, executive and judiciary. This is called horizontal distribution of power because it allows different organs of government placed at the same level to exercise different powers. Such separation ensures that none of the organ can exercise unlimited power. Each organ checks the others. This arrangement is called the system of checks and balances. Number 2, power can be shared among different levels of government. A general government for the entire country and governments at the provincial or regional level, which is called federal government. In India, we refer to it as the central or union government. The government at provincial or regional level are called by different names in different countries. In India, we call it state government. There are many countries where there are no provincial or state government. Number 3, power may also be shared among different social groups. Churches, the religious and linguistic groups. Community government in Belgium is a good example of this arrangement. This method is used to give minority communities a fair share in power. Number 4, power sharing arrangements can also be seen in the way political parties, pressure groups, and movements control or influence those in power. In a democracy, the citizen must have freedom to choose among various persons standing for election. In contemporary democracy, this takes the form of competition among different parties. Such competitions points out that power does not remain in one hand. When 2 or more parties form an alliance to contest election, and if they get elected, they form a coalition government and thus share powers. In a democracy, we find that interest groups such as those of traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers and workers. They also will have a share in governmental power either through participation in governmental committees or bringing influence on the decision-making process. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.